came like a king and left like a legend.
Zero people.
That's one of the most stupid questions.
Zero people.
I play all my season. Was shit.
Buongiorno, listener. Welcome to another Italian Wednesday. Well, things at the top keep getting better and better for Milan and Inter. Inter now with 6 wins in a row. Milan going strong, and we have a mouth-watering clash this week with Milan playing against Lazio. This and much more we're going to discuss in this new Italian Wednesday at the Worst Football Podcast. Welcome, listeners, to Italian Wednesdays. A lot happened last weekend in Serie A. We had also some midweek games, and now we have basically the last couple of games for this year. Stega, can you help us break down what happened in Italy?
Of course. Hello, guys, and let's just dive into the final matches before the Christmas break for Serie A. So I would say the biggest match that we are going to have, not next weekend because it is played in the middle of the week. So on Wednesday, actually, is Milan against Lazio. So both teams are coming from a victory. Milan won against Sassuolo and Lazio against Napoli. And what do you think, Marco? Were you expecting Lazio actually to succeed against Napoli, or was that a pleasant surprise for you?
Definitely the latter. Lazio is not in form. Also during the game, I don't think the performance of Lazio was that outstanding. Napoli in the first half really was managing very well the game. We got quite lucky with that cross and that header goal by Immobile. Second half, we were controlling. That said, on the other hand, also Milan, personally, I don't think it's as stable as a team as it used to be just 2 weeks ago. The 2 draws back-to-back were quite unexpected. Against Sassuolo, they have, let's be honest, dominated Sassuolo. But similarly to Milan, Sassuolo only have won 1 out of the last 5. So also their state of form is not excellent, to be frank. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. Milan is still ahead. Ibrahimovic won't be part of the game, so we don't have that extra factor for Milan. I think it's really going to depend on who's going to manage better the counterattacks. It's about cynicism. I don't think it's about strength of the team or way of playing.
Yeah, I would say that Milan is definitely struggling in the latest matches, but the biggest role is played by the injuries, because half the actual team is injured, and not just average players, but as you mentioned, Ibrahimovic is injured, and so is the leader of the defense, who is Kier. Then we have Bennacer, even Rebic, and perhaps even Tonali now injured. So Milan will definitely actually struggle to put a team against Lazio. And then, of course, the match is going to be very tough for them. And like you said, I would say that counterattacks will play a very important role. And that's because, to my understanding, both teams actually struggle more against teams that play in a more defensive way. Conversely, if teams play in a more offensive way, they have more spaces to launch their wingers, like Leao, or of course the left back Teo Hernandez for Milan, and for Lazio you have Correa, who's always fast. And so if they play like they are used to, then I believe it's going to be a very, very tight and interesting to see match. What's your take on it, Alex?
I think the best example you can see there of how important is this quickness is in this game against Sassuolo. We all talk up Sassuolo and think, they're punching way above their weight this season, or maybe actually just slightly, but we all somehow felt, comfortable the way Milan was going to play. Actually, it's the way that they like, the way that Sassuolo plays. It's perfect for Milan's counter, and no better example than Leon's goal on 6 seconds, the fastest goal ever, not only in Italy, but across Europe's main leagues. So it's an amazing record to have, to be honest. I'm quite looking forward to this match because Lazio, you're starting to get the idea that Lazio is also starting to build up some momentum. They had at the start was not as strong, but you're now seeing their step by step, getting a bit more comfortable on the table. So I'm curious to see how this all pans out, but it's still everything is very tight.
And that was also due to injuries, right? As we have discussed beforehand. We had to play a Champions League. Sorry, still used to the history of Lazio in Europa League. A Champions League game with basically only 12 players that had played a game for Lazio before, and we had 6 from the under 21. That really shows how many injuries we did have at the same time, and of course, linked to that was also heavily impacting the performance of the team and the state of form. Those players that weren't injured were playing too many games. Those players that, on the other hand, were injured couldn't play and were not informed when they got back from injury. So it's a vicious cycle really this season with a game every 3 days.
Yeah, totally. And let's move to the second big match of the week, which is Verona against Inter Milan. So Verona is so surprising that it's not even surprising anymore. And that means that since they managed to arrive to Serie A a couple of years ago, they've been playing so good and getting better every year. And this year they had one of the best defenses in the whole Serie A. I think it's the second behind Juventus. And on the other hand, we have Inter Milan finally getting some victories and not quite feeling the depression after being eliminated in the Champions League. So, Alex, who do you say favorite? Will Verona be able to defend, or will Inter get it?
I mean, I don't know what's happening with Inter, but 6 wins in a row. That's pretty much as a winning streak as you can get in a competitive league as Serie A. I mean, it reminds you of Juventus form, more than actual Inter. It's quite strong. It's quite robust. Verona, yes, they are the surprise package, basically. If we want to ignore a bit Sassuolo, which, to be frank, I mean they're only 3 points behind Sassuolo, so I would say Verona is more surprising than Sassuolo. If we forget position and focus on points. But again, Inter, you can see that it's now or never for Inter. This season is their best opportunity, having a weaker Juventus, who's slowly coming back, but it is their opportunity, and you can see that they're putting everything. Their departure from the Champions League, European competitions overall, is going to put a lot of pressure into Inter. So I don't know how they're going to cope.
Yeah, I totally agree, and we will see whether Lukaku manages once again to score and to defeat Verona's outstanding defense. Now, let's see what the other bigs will be doing. So we have...
Sorry? Come on, we need to talk about someone.
Who?
We were all talking about them the last couple of weeks, and tell how amazing they were, and Gennaro, it's amazing. Oh my God, he's that master tactician. And within 1 week, they lose 2 matches with both of them, against good teams. I'm not saying they're bad teams, both Inter and Lazio, but still, we're now talking about Napoli going down a couple of points and now going into that second bracket of teams. It's not looking as shiny, right?
Yeah, that is true, actually. I mean, the loss against Inter was a bit unlucky. They even got deposed at the last minute, and Insigne received a red card at some point. But their defeat against Lazio was way less convincing, so maybe there might be a bad trend for Napoli going on here. Also,
shouldn't be forgotten that also Napoli had lost against Milan end of November, right? So when you put all these pieces together, you really see that.
So would you say that Napoli is already not competing for the title anymore? So it's not already in the uppest tier in Serie A, or can they still compete for the title?
I think they've never really been a challenger for the title this year, despite, of course, Napoli fans hoping that would be the case. The team is way weaker than the rest. Let's be honest. Certain players that they have bought are not performing in the same very way they were possibly expected to perform. Some others are struggling to get back to the state of form they used to have, and they still have a big issue of the Milik capital, let's say, being stuck. That 25-30 millions they were hoping to get in the summer would have allowed to get one additional key player in, which I think they're really struggling. Now, they're playing with Petagna, which decent player, but nonetheless it's a player that never scored more than 10 goals ever, that last year was playing for Spal, and there is a reason why he was playing for Spal and not for Atalanta no more, and why Atalanta decided to buy a different striker up front, because Petagna wasn't fit for the ambition that Atalanta had. So I don't think with the team Napoli has, it can really pose a threat to the well, I would say the two above there, Inter, Juventus, who are expected to win, and the surprise of the year, Milan.
Yeah, that is true actually. And what about Juventus, guys? So Juventus not only kept winning for the last matches, but they also did so in a very convincing way. That is what scares me the most. They did not just win, but they were convincing. And finally, it looks like there's some alchemy going on between not just Ronaldo, but even Morata, Kulusevski, Chiesa, and all the strikers. What do you think about Juventus' latest? Alex, what's your take?
It's quite interesting. I think you can see it was the latest match of Juventus was one of those that against Parma. You know, one of those again for their strikers to build up their momentum. You know, you had Cristiano, who yes had scored goals in the past couple of weeks, scored 4 in the last 3 games, but all of them as a penalty. And then against Atalanta, missed the penalty that could have brought them 2 additional points. So you see, it wasn't like the old Ronaldo, you know. And finally, a game in which he can make 2 goals out of free play. Also for Morata to bring the spark new. Kulusevski, it's going to be important because let's be honest, guys, Pirlo and Dybala are still not there in their understanding, like what to do with Dybala, you know, how to utilize him. And Kulusevski has here an amazing opportunity to take over a position and maybe even make force Juventus to sell off Dybala. It is that important the coming few weeks for Kulusevski. So I don't know. I think if we think about it, you know, it doesn't look half as bad. You know, Juve went through first in the Champions League group, right? And they are undefeated in the league.
Yeah.
If it was up to you, would you sell Dybala? Just yes or no, quick round.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
No,
yes.
because you do not sell a player like Dybala if you have him. And instead, what you do is that you go to, like Pirlo and Dybala, go to couple counseling and maybe join Conte and Eriksen there, because they need to do that. You just don't sell a player like Dybala, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, that's like having a Bentley but not a driving license. You know, if you can't drive the car, you know.
I don't think you want to end up having. Yeah, you don't want to end up having a Bale in the bench like Real Madrid did the last 2 years, a player that is still a decent player, or a James or those one, right? Isco is still that stuff. But if you really can't find a spot for Dybala, it means that you have other ideas for your tactical positioning of the players that potentially doesn't involve him. At that point, I would just get as much money as I can for him and buy players that are fit for my way of playing. Furthermore, if Dybala is not really, in my opinion, the player that can by himself change games. Yes, he has a lot of quality, but that might be a big one. But I don't think he's any stronger than a Di Maria, let's say, or a Golden Age Pastore. One of those that can score a very nice free kick, can shoot from distance from 30, 40 meters. But when you really need him and he needs to carry the team, he won't. He doesn't have that skill.
Man, Pastore, seriously. I respectfully dissent.
No, I'm saying the golden age Pastore. It's not the Pastore that we have seen over the past 3 years, but let's be honest, Pastore, when he was still back in Italy, he was a great player.
Yeah, I mean,
But again, he wasn't spectacular. The same thing, Dybala is 26, 27. It's not like he's going to become any better. This is it.
No,
Was he 21? Fully agree.
Yeah, he just needs to go back to his best shape, in my opinion. But I see your point. And just to finish our today's episode, let's go to see Roma and Atalanta, who are playing against Cagliari for Roma and Bologna for Atalanta. So it looks like both can have an easy win. Even Atalanta managed to get back on good shape in the last match against Roma, which they destroyed 4-1 after being 0-1 in the first half. And likewise, Cagliari is not really shining this year. It's not playing awfully either, but Cagliari is the kind of team that, in my opinion, really is missing a very good striker in this moment. What do you say?
Yeah, Pavoletti is not Pavoloso anymore.
Yeah,
just a normal human being. João Pedro is back to, well, what he has been the whole season aside from last year, really. There's something missing there. I think Cagliari's strength is being able to put a game to sleep. So, and I think Roma would struggle with that. So if there's one game that I think might end up with a draw is really Cagliari being managing to get 1 point out of this game. When we look at Atalanta, if we compare Atalanta to Roma, for instance, Atalanta is a team that is keeping the tempo very high, forces the other team to keep the tempo very high, and can break any defense. So I think that Roma would have a stronger challenge against a smaller team compared to Atalanta this very weekend. This very week.
Yeah, I agree, and especially considering that Ilicic finally made his comeback into the scorers for Atalanta, and he scored a very, very good one. I don't know if you saw it, but if you did not, I recommend watching the highlights because it was a great one.
Yeah,
so I think one point we need to discuss on Roma, and it's not because I'm singing him a praise, because he's Portuguese, but I mean Roma is in fourth place, and the defense that they played against Atalanta included Chris Smalling from Manchester, who was at Manchester United, Karsdorp, who was refused by Roma at the start and shipped back to the Netherlands, Ibanez, who's a youngster. I mean, it's and Mirante in goal, who is it's okay, but I mean, how old is he? It's not a Roma level of defense. Let's be honest. I mean, not that they're they should fight for a Scudetto, but this kind of defense, I mean, I could easily see it in a Fiorentina.
Yeah, you're right, and perhaps they should listen to you in the January market, because I agree their defense is lacking something, and and we all saw that against Atalanta last week.
It's not possible. Roma is beyond bankrupt. The club is.
Yeah, we can still dream, right? We can still dream about
it. Yeah, well, maybe start saving some money first and invest in their defense. That would be one of the first things I would do.
So, guys, it's been a pleasure, but for today, I believe we are done. But once again, before leaving, it is time for
meme section of the day.
So, for the meme section of the day, once again, we have my favorite, Zlatan or Jesus, which is the moment in which I'm going to say a quote by either Zlatan or Jesus, and you guys are going to try to guess who said it, Zlatan or Jesus. For now, the score... Are you, Marco? Because for now, the score is Alex 2, Marco 0, so I'm actually curious to see what's going to happen, because today's Zlatan or Jesus quote is going to be a very tough one, but really tough one. So let's listen to it. Anything that happens in your life was meant to happen. It is your destiny. I was destined to have the life I have now, and I do not have and cannot have any regrets. Zlatan
Ah,
or Jesus? I told you it was a tough one.
I go Zlatan.
You go Zlatan, Marco?
I go Jesus.
You go Jesus, and once again, Alex is right. That is Zlatan.
How?
So this is 3-0 for Alex, and it's becoming a nightmare for Marco.
And last week I let you go first, so I thought, I'll go first, and commit.
Yeah.
Well, I would have gotten it wrong either way, so that wouldn't have changed much.
All right. Thanks again, listeners, and see you next time. Bye-bye.